Most scholars of the Mabinogi or Mabinogion will tell you, oh, don't read Charlotte Guest's translation, get something better. I agree, but people are always asking me why. Why do I hate Charlotte Guest so much? And the answer is that I don't hate her or her translation, but this deserves a longer answer. Many people cut their teeth on that translation. It was the first translation into English that was at all popular. In fact, it was extremely popular, arriving during the Victorian era, which had an obsession with medievalism in art and literature, pre-Raphaelite paintings, and the poetry of Tennyson. It was a perfect fit. Guest's language is high-toned, it's old-fashioned, and sometimes very beautiful. Cut to the present day, and Lady Charlotte's version also has the advantage of having passed into the public domain. The copyright is expired, so any website that wants to host it or any publisher who wants to reprint it is free to do so. And I'd like to give a shout out to a website called sacredtexts.com, who have it on their website, complete with the translator's notes, which were part of Charlotte Guest's original publication. Some of those notes are very interesting. I'll put a link to that in the description. So availability helps make Guest popular, and some readers are very loyal to it. I sort of get it. I like the King James Bible. Not that I really read it anymore, but I have. The language is pretty. I'm used to it, and I don't really care about the accuracy all that much. So why do scholars hate it so much? It's just not a super accurate translation. The reasons for that are varied and not always as straightforward as you'd think. Guest wasn't a native speaker of Welsh. However, she was a scholar of many languages and took advice from native Welsh scholars during the translation process. Most of the later serious editors of her work have actually said that the translation was better than they'd been led to believe. That said, scholarship in Middle Welsh really has improved since Charlotte Guest's day, and all of the later translations reflect that growing knowledge. Another concern is the squeamishness about all things sexual, which beset many translations of Celtic texts in the Victorian era. There are multiple mentions of couples sleeping together in the Welsh text. As these are often at the consummation of marriages, they just get married in Guest's work, but she hedges if they aren't married. Other naughtiness is also censored out, especially in the fourth branch. Most translators of the period would have done the same thing, of course. Now they wouldn't. Times change, but these things can affect the overall meaning of a story sometimes. There could have been some unfair prejudice against Charlotte Guest, too. She certainly came under fire from the translators who followed her, most notably Jones and Jones. Being a woman might have made her an easier target than a male translator, or might have caused them to take her less seriously, but I wouldn't like to go out on a limb over that because I don't know what was in their minds. I think there could have been some discomfort with Guest's English nationality and possibly also her class. The rise in interest in Welsh literature and folklore in Wales was entangled with both important working class political issues and Welsh language justice and self-rule movements. It's perfectly understandable that by the 1940s, when Jones and Jones translation appeared, there was an appetite in Wales for a translation produced by Welsh-speaking scholars from Wales. It's perfectly possible that, at least unconsciously, some of these feelings have lingered in Welsh academia. What's left is to talk about what translation you should read instead. If you'd like to delve a little deeper into the topics in my videos, you might enjoy taking one of my online classes. You can find out more about them at the link which is on your screen now. You can also support my work on Ko-fi or by becoming a patron. You'll also find free content to read on my Patreon page and on my website. All the links are in the description. Most modern Welsh scholars will now recommend Sioned Davies' excellent 2008 translation, so perhaps we can now rule out misogyny anyway. The fact that they tend to offer it in preference to modern translations by US-based Celtic scholars like Patrick Ford or John Bollard may be more a matter of familiarity than national pride. Certainly, Ford is widely respected, and his 1977 translation had a good run as the scholarly one, although it doesn't include all 11 stories. And that reminds me, if you're interested in finding the perfect modern translation of the Mabinogi for your needs, I've written an article which compares them all, and there should be a link on your screen to that if you'd like to read it. Charlotte Guest was quite a woman. She was a polyglot and a polymath, an example of a member of the upper class who used her leisure time for good works and large projects, including translating a massive piece of literature from Middle Welsh. She also worked to provide education for local children. She started a library and took over the running of her husband's ironworks after he died, not to mention having 10 children. But for our purposes, Lady Charlotte Guest's greatest contribution is certainly her translation of the Mabinogion. It may have been timing or it may have been money and influence, but neither the English translation by William Pugh in 1833 nor the one by Ellison Lloyd in 1929 became at all popular. Would we have as many of those pre-Raphaelite paintings or Alfred Tennyson's body of Arthurian poetry without it? Would anyone even be interested in the Mabinogion today, or would it have slipped into obscurity? I can't answer those questions, but it's something to think about.